cultivation ମାନେ ପୋଡୁ ଚାଷ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
that is called the shifting of cultivations, because they do not have the developed equipment, they do not have the developed method and technology of cultivations. That is the reason why they try to shift their cultivation from one place to another place, because after some year of that is your cultivation, an area will be unproductive one. ତାପରେ ସେମାନେ କଣ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
କରିବେ, ଏଗ୍ରିକଲଚରଟାକୁ ଅନ୍ୟ ଏରିଆକୁ ସିଫ୍ଟ କରିଦେବେ. That is called the shifting of cultivation.
ଆଜ୍ଞା
So this they have to
କଲ୍ଟିଭେସନ
formulate some of the, that is your legislative rules and regulations regarding this different aspect, that is your use of canals, shifting of cultivations, inheritance of property, marriage, divorce. There are special rules where they are in hilly regions. If you had been
ଆଜ୍ଞା
to that places, you see how the people of that area get married and how their systems they were run by their local authorities. There are special laws were there. Okay.
ଆଜ୍ଞା
Then is your executive power to establish, construct and manage a primary school. Then is your that is the dispensaries, to manage dispensaries, to manage markets, to manage cattle, ponds, fisheries, roads. They have their own rules and regulations, and execute them on the basis of their, that is your rule formulated by their under 6th schedule. Then judicial power. Judicial power, that is district and regional council were empowered to constitute court of trial of parties belong to the scheduled tribe within the districts. However, they do not decide the cases which involves death or imprisonment more than the, that is your 5 years. They will decide small cases of their area which will be come from the tribal people, but they are not have the authority to decide the cases of that is your the the cases of that is your the people belonging to the tribal area. So my point is that they have also the some judicial power. Now, if we talk about the judicial system in India, it is the Supreme Court of India who is supreme above the all the he is the land of the that is your all judicial matter were to be decided in the Supreme Court of India in relation whatever it may be. That may be the civil cases, that may be the criminal cases. The law made by the Supreme Court of India or the law made by the Parliament is implemented over the all the people of India. Still, then they have some judicial power. They have to manage their tribal affairs and not they involve, which will not involve the death sentence or imprisonment more than the 5 years. This should be exempted. Then financial power. It provides certain financial power to the districts, and that is your regional council. They have to prepare the budget for their respective council. They collect the revenue, impose taxes on the profession, trades, animals. Then is your other taxes were to be imposed locally and collect their taxes to strengthen their financial positions. Then what is the historical background of the that is your administration of 5th and 6th schedule of the area? There is a long historical background, because as you know, the some portion of the India they were very much underdeveloped. Nowadays also the people belonging to the tribal area they were so much underdeveloped, and it was started not in only in the 5th and 6th schedule, but before the independence, the British colonial government they enacted many acts and laws such as which will inter regulations of Act of 1873, Scheduled District Act 1874, Government of India Act 1919, and Government of India Act 1935. Under this also, they were made some provision for the different provinces. That is the schedule area. And in this way, that is your background is there, which made the makers of the constitutions to give priority to the people belonging to that area. Then genesis of the fifth and sixth schedule. Under this, the chairmanship of the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the advisory committee on fundamental rights, tribal exclude area, or two subcommittee were formulated. One is headed by the A.V. Thakkar and other is headed by the Gopinath Bardolai. These were two subcommittee they formulated to that is your bring into the notice of the fifth and sixth schedule. Then what is fifth and took into the affairs of the tribals, because all the matters that come under this fifth and sixth schedule, they are only dealt with the problem of the tribal people of other state, and sixth schedule deals with the tribal people of the that is your fourth state, which I have already stated you. So the what is fifth and sixth schedule comparison? Let us make a comparison between the fifth and sixth schedule. So what is the difference between the fifth and sixth schedule? The fifth schedule creates creates tribe advisory council. Fifth schedule creates tribal advisory council, whereas sixth schedule provides for the autonomous district council or regional council. This is the first basic difference. Then the advisory council created by the legislature, that is your under fifth schedule, the advisory council or tribal advisory council were created by the legislature, whereas the district or regional council created by is a product of the constitution. Sixth schedule is a product of the constitution, but fifth schedule or tribal advisory council which are created by the state legislature. Then third is that is your district council enjoy legislative, executive and judicial power under sixth schedule. And on the other hand, the tribal advisory council is a creation of the legislative assembly with limited power. These are some of the difference existed between the that is your fifth and sixth schedule. So what is the politics relating to the fifth and sixth schedule? Some critics they criticize it is an inadequate, and some other critics they oppose that it was unnecessary. The state government cannot take initiatives and priority for the development of tribal area. Some of the critics they says that in this sixth schedule and the fifth schedule, it was inadequate, and some oppose that it was unnecessary because the state government could not give priority to the tribal people. Some of the critics they criticize in the fifth schedule, and some of the critics they criticize that the sixth schedule is unnecessary one, because you see at the same time the government of India is providing so much of grant to the that is your northeastern states, and what is the necessity of the sixth schedule? This point also criticized by some of the people. So most of the members of the tribal advisory council criticize the state government because they avoid the advice of the tribal advisory council on the important issue. So governor has the limited role to play as he perform the duties in accordance with the aid and advice of the council of minister. Because it is the power of the governor that is under fifth schedule, they have to provide the special importance to the people of tribal area. But at the same time, the governor is given perform his duty on the basis of the aid and advice provided by the council of minister. So what happened? This is a clash between the political orientations. Whether the party is in power naturally oriented to develop the tribal people or not, it depends upon the orientation of the people, that is your political party, who is in power. That is the reason why it is also criticized. Next is your sixth schedule. It reduce and weaken the power of the headmen. कारण जितेबले डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ पावर तुमर एटा एक्चुअली पढ़ा होचे कोन फेडरलिज्म एंड द डिवीजन ऑफ पावर. सो इन द northeastern state, the division of power in next chapter we have to study, that is headmans where they are in the travel area, headmans and chief travel society, chief men of this travel society, that reduce the power of that their these headmen, because in the sixth schedule government has to undertake all his activity. So that is the reason it curtail the power of the headmen. So the chief and the headman, they oppose the autonomous district council. सिक्स शेड्यूल रे जो मानकर पावर अधिकार थिबो हेडमैन मानकर पावर से जगह बहुत अधिकार थाए सेति पे से माने दे ओपोज द सिक्स शेड्यूल बिकॉज देयर पावर वर curtailed because of the autonomous district council. And many system of that is your hill group, they oppose and feels deprived of the rights and privileges enjoyed in traditional administrative setup. Because what happened in the primitive society, they have a lots of power they enjoying, but with the development of time and situations, the power of the primitive administrative setup, they were curtailed, and certain administrative setup were built up, new administrative setup were built up for them for the development, which could not be that is your easily accepted by the those men. Say for an example, जो समय से हिली रिजन थिला से समय कौन होतला से जगह हेडमैन गुड़ाक थिले आगरू ताकू ए सिक्स शेड्यूल और फिफ्थ शेड्यूल करबा द्वारा कौन हैला जे तांकर से हेडमैन मानकर पावर गुड़ाक कटेल ही गला बिकॉज the autonomous district council is there to deal with the is the problem or day-to-day development of the people of that tribal people. That is the reason where they oppose it. So whatever it may be, let us come to the conclusion that fifth and sixth schedule is one of the most important provision of the constitutions to provide or to that is your look after to the matters of the development of the tribal people. Nowadays, here you see there are many programs undertaken by the government of India for the development of the tribal people. In case of Odisha also, you see the Tribal Development Council is there. Tribal Development Council is there. In case of Sundargarh district, you may find. In case of Malkargadi district, you may find. So there are special provisions were given and special administrative capacity were provided to these peoples for their development. So whatever it may be, we have completed this 13th chapter, sorry, 12th chapter, that is 5th and 6th schedule. Now we shall discuss about the unit 13 of the block 3, that is local self-government. What is local self-government? I am not going to the detail, but giving you the brief idea regarding the local self-government. Local self-government कहले तुम कौन बुझियो? That is basically depends upon the three-tier structure, that is Panchayati Raj system or the introduction of the Panchayati Raj system in India. We have to come across with different point. What is the basically the historical background for the that is your local self-government? What is the constitutional provision? Because this local self-government come after the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 92. So these two acts, 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, give priority to the that is your local self-government. So let us come to the discussion. What is the local self-government or Panchayati Raj system in post-independent era? Initially, the government of India tried to develop the village through the community development and national extensive service program. What happened? Initially in the that is your post-independent era, that is 1950s to 1992, because at that time the Panchayati Raj system was not introduced in the India, and there is the existence of community development program and national extensive services program, so which could not give satisfactory result. And for the first initiative was taken in January 1957. The Planning Commission set up a committee which is known as the Mehta Committee, or under the chairmanship of Balwant Rai Mehta. The that is your aim of the Mehta Committee was to provide possible linkage between the village panchayat and the higher level of organizations for the implementation of community projects and national extension service. What happened at that time? There is a delinked between the local, because due to the federalism, as government of India is a federal in structure, that means there is the distribution of power between the center and the state, and on the other hand there is one of the most important authority, that is local government, local authority. So there is three-way pattern of distribution of power, or a decentralization of power, because you have to feel the presence of the government while you are receiving your, that is your National Food Security Act. In the that is your rice is provided to the needy people or people belonging to the underdeveloped conditions. ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ତୁମ ଗାଁରେ ଅଛ, can you feel the presence of the central government to you? You cannot. You feel in the medium of local panchayat or local municipality, that the central government has sponsored some program and it will reach to you through the process of National Food Security Act, which was availed to you by the Panchayati Raj system. And here the Panchayati Raj institutions work as a one of the basic unit of the structure of decentralization of power. So to determine the organization at the district level, which half democratic body, or which help democratic body, that means in a Gram Panchayat, we have Gram Panchayat is a democratic body because the members of the Gram Panchayat were directly elected by the people. That is the reason why it was stated as the democratic body. So the B.R. Mehta recommended for the establishment of democratic institutions in the village as village panchayat with adequate financial power. Adequate financial power देकी तांको village panchayat establish करबा पय से recommend कली, and the panchayat with adequate financial power. So the B.R. Mehta recommended for the implementation of the scheme for local development. He also recommended democratic decentralization of power, that is through the election to the local people, local panchayats, and try to provide the financial autonomy to the grassroots level. And following the report of the Mehta Committee, the first village panchayat was elected in the year 1957, that is in Nagur district of Rajasthan. Point it out. Nagur district of Rajasthan, for the first time the panchayat election was took place on the basis of the recommendations made by the Balwant Rai Mehta. Okay, so in the 1970s, when Janata government came to the power, they appointed Ashok Mehta Committee, and the purpose is to assess the functioning of Panchayati Raj institutions and recommend measures for their improvement, and they recommended Ashok Mehta Committee. But the recommendation of the Ashok Mehta Committee were unimplemented, as because of in the year 1980s, the Congress government again come to the power and they deny to implement the recommendations made by the Ashok Mehta Committee. But in the 90s, what happened? The recommendation of the Ashok Mehta Committee were got implemented by the then government or the Congress government. That is your 73rd and 43rd, 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 came into force and give constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj institutions, and 74th Amendment Act came into force in, that is your 1st June 1993, and give importance to the that is your decentralization process or decentralization of power. These two provision, that is 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992, they were given priority. So What is 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act? Let us discuss. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. What are the features of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment? The theatre structure at the village, block and district level with 20 lakhs population. First important feature of the that is your 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 is that there is theatre structure. Theatre structure means panchayat, gram panchayat, and that is your panchayat samiti, block level, and your jilla parishad, or that is your yes, jilla parishad or jilla panchayat at the that is your district level. This is called the three-tier structure, and panchayat election is took place. Second important feature is that there will be a regular panchayat election will took place in every 5 years. Then third important feature of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment is that 33% of reservation must be made for the SC and ST as well as OBC and women community. 33% of reservations will be provided. Then for this, financial autonomy is given to the Panchayati Raj institutions. Then fifth is district planning and draft of development plan is to be prepared for the development of the Gram Panchayat. These are the some of the basic features which were given priority in the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. And under 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, the extension of schedule area in the year 1996, Panchayats. This act came into force in 24th December 1996 and extend to tribal area of 8 states. आगरू कौन थिला जेतेबेले लागू हैला सेतेबेले 8 स्टेट रे लागू नथिला, that is Andhra, Bihar, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, MP, Odisha, Rajasthan. Panchayati Raj system it could not be implemented in the year 1926 December 1996. After that it was implemented in these 8 states also. Okay, and Panchayati Raj institution in the post 73rd Amendment era, a case of UP. What is the that is your Panchayati Raj institutions in case of the UP? We see or you may find there is three-tier structure. At the grassroots level, you find the Gram Panchayat. At the that is your in the intermediate level, you find the Khetra Panchayat, find the Jila Panchayat or your Jila Parishad. These are the three-tier structure made by the in the UP, and there is the different type of function performed by these three that is your institution. That means sarpanch or in a gram panchayat, the panchayat heads were elected members. They are to hold the regular elections. That is your regular election with in the with 5 years, and they are come under the jurisdictions of the gram panchayat, and they were cover 29 subjects mentioned in the 11 schedules of the panchayat. What happened? They are the that is your that is Samata Samiti. 4 committees were made on the basis of the that is your gram panchayat. 4 committees were made. That is Samata Samiti. One is the second is your Vikas Samiti. Then third is your Shiksha Samiti, which deals with the education. Then is your Lokahita Samiti, which deals with public health and public work. Vikas Samiti will deals with the rural agriculture and industry and developmental schemes. And your there is your Samata Samiti deals with the welfare of the women, children, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, and OBC classes of the people. These are the 4 important committees. Then is your Khetra Panchayat. Khetra Panchayat means all elected pradhans of the gram panchayat within a block is the declared or known as the intermediate structure, that is called the Khetra Panchayat. The sarpanch or the that is your pradhans, they were the members of the Khetra Panchayat. Then the Jilla Panchayat. Jilla Panchayat means the MLAs and the MLCs, member of legislative councils, along with the that is your pradhans and all Khetra Panchayats in the district, they constitute the Jilla Panchayat. And here the in the Jila Panchayat, the chairman or Jilla Parishad chairman as the chairperson of the Jilla Panchayat, and the district magistrate acts as the deputy chairman in the, that is your Jilla Panchayat, in case of the, that is your UP. So let's make an assessment to the Panchayati Raj institutions. It raised the level of political consciousness among the people. Panchayati Raj institution, by means of the establishment of the Panchayati Raj institutions, it awares the people about their existence, about the political existence of their own. कौन होची पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशन हेबा द्वारा लोक माने राजनीतिक क्षेत्र रे दे वर गेट अवेयर अबाउट दी टू ए सर्टेन एक्सटेंट. They were knows about their rights, they are knows about the different programs run by the government, and due to the Panchayati Raj institutions, various facilities were provided to the people at the grassroots level. Without existence of the Panchayati Raj institution, it could not be possible for the state to reach to the grassroots level. जदि पंचायत नथांता, ग्राम पंचायत नथांता, लोक मान पाखक डायरेक्टली गवर्नमेंट पहुंची पारु नथांता. The reason is that दे तमे देखुथबो जेते बेले लेजिस्लेटिव इलेक्शन माने एमपी एमएलए मानकर इलेक्शन होउची, खाली इलेक्शन समय रे से माने आसंती आ तापरे वोट सरी गला परे चली जानती, हम पाखक आसंती नै. Then how we will remove our difficulties in our local area? It is the Panchayati Raj institutions. It is the members of the Panchayati Raj institutions. They are to solve the day-to-day problems of the people. They have to deal with the day-to-day problems of the people, and different programs of the government would reach to the people through local self-government, urban local self-government, or that is your Madras. For the first time, municipal corporations in the year 1688, it was followed by the Bombay in 1762. There was about 200 municipality in British India by 1870. What happened? Urban local self-government was also there before the independence, and for the first time it was in Madras. Municipal corporation was there in the year 1687, and which was followed by the Bombay Municipal Corporation in the year 1762. And thereafter, what happened? About 200 municipalities were there in the British India by the 1870. So this is there. And what is about the 74 Constitutional Amendment Act 1992? The local self-government or the government passed 74th Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 1992, and it was enacted on the basis of rural-urban relationship. The 12th schedule of 74 Amendment Act contained 18 items, which I am not going to details in discuss, because there are many items like let us say one or two important items, that is your that is urban planning, including town planning, regulation of land use and construction of building, planning for the economic and social development. There are so many 18 items. You have to go through your study material. You got the 18 items which will come under the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act were mentioned. And now we shall come to the municipal finance. Finance is most important factor for the development of the any area, and by means of the collection of taxes in different way, that is tax and revenue, octroi tax, non-tax revenue, granting aid, borrowing of loans. In this way, finance will come to the, that is your local government or municipal bodies, and by means of that they run their administrations. By means of the incorporation of goods and service tax, nowadays GST is one of the most important tax system in India, and it will create a generate a maximum finance for the government. So in this way, what happened? the 74th and 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, they provide the that is your development, or they provide importance to the grassroots level or the development of the grassroots people, and by means of the creation of the Panchayati Raj institutions in the local area. What could happen? We can feel the presence of the government, or we generally, or the people at large, feel the presence of the central government as well as the state government by means of the institution of Panchayati Raj institutions and local body. Otherwise, we cannot feel the presence of the government. So it plays an important role in the developmental activity of the people. That's all about your that is your chapter 13, that is deals with the that is your local self government. And with this we have completed our discussions regarding your 101 and 102, BPSC 101 and 102. Any doubts? Doubts only? We have few minutes left. Kabirani, ବୁଝି ହଉଛି ନା ନାହିଁ?
ବୁଝି ହଉଛି ସାର୍।
ବୁଝିହେଲା ତ? ତାହେଲେ ଭଲ କି ପ୍ରିପେୟାର କରିବ ଆଉ ତୁମର ଯୋଉ ଗୁଡାକ ଏକ୍ସାମ ପାଇଁ ଆଉ ହେଲା।
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
Basis of your study material available in you, and if you find any difficulty, you have the phone numbers regarding chapter 1 and 2. You can call me to clarify your doubts. Okay.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
Okay, Sunil.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।
ବୁଝିହେଲା ତ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା
Thank you.
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ସାର୍। ଗୁଡ୍ ଇଭିନିଂ ସାର୍।
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ସାର୍। ବାଇ ସାର୍।